welcome back to Appleby Academy's classes. So in this video, we are going to discuss about an important topic under the Act, Sale of Goods Act. So we are actually discussing the Sale of Goods Act in our Unit 9, that is legal aspects of business. So when you're coming with the topic Sale of Goods Act, this topic is very important, and you can see that every time they are actually asking question from this particular act. So in that, this types of goods is very important. So let's start with the term goods. So what do you mean by the term good? So it is very important that when you're studying about certain terms in law, legal aspects of business, and also in income tax, you should specify, or you should be very familiar with the sections which discussing about this definition. So the goods is actually defined under section 2 subsection 7 of Sale of Goods Act, and as per the definition or the word goods as per the Sale of Goods Act means that it can be any kind of movable property. So the first condition is that it should be movable. So in case of goods, Sale of Goods Act, goods means a movable item, okay? It can't be an immovable property. It should be movable, okay? That means it can't be something like land and building. We know that we are not able to move it, right? So immovable properties are not at all considered under the Sale of Goods Act or under this particular definition. So see, every kind of movable property is actually included in goods of in the definition of goods, and there are certain things which is not actually included under the definition of goods, or which is actually excluding some of the items. So let's see which all are the items. Actionable claims, that means the sometimes we are making some court cases and you're claiming for some materials or whatever which is related to some legal combinations. In such situation, see, this claims is not actually included, or claims is not actually considered as a goods as per this particular act. And money in circulation, so the money which we have in our hand, which is not actually used in the definition of goods. And also land, as we know that land is an immovable property which is also not included under the definition of goods goods definition, okay? So every kind of movable property is included, but these three items are excluded. So you should be aware that which all are the things which is included in the definition, or which all are the item which we are not able to include in the definition of goods. So, but you can see that something is actually included under the definition of Sale of Goods Act, which include stock and shares, growing crops, grass, things which is attached to or forming part of the land which agree to be severed, okay? So, see, when you are coming with the definition of goods, you can actually include the stock and shares of the company, and if it is related to some agricultural activities, you can actually include growing crops and grass also, and the things which is actually attached to the land, okay? Not that land, but the things which is actually included in that land can also be included under the definition of goods. Okay, so the first three items are actually excluded from the definition, and here the four items is actually included under the definition of goods. So our main topic was, it's about the types of goods. Okay, so now you know what do you mean by goods, or what all are the things which can be included under the head of goods. Now it's important that you should be familiar with the classification of goods. So the goods can be mainly categorized into three, as existing goods, future goods, and contingent goods. Okay, existing, future, and contingent. And see, this existing goods is again classified into three, as specific, ascertained, unascertained. Okay, so anyway, we have three classification, and the first classification, that is existing goods, which got classified again into three, as specific, ascertained, and unascertained goods. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about each of these. Okay, so firstly, let's start with existing goods. So what do you mean by existing goods as per Sale of Goods Act? So existing goods means when you are making a contract with a particular party, at that time, if that particular item is present there, if that particular item or the goods which is for which we are making such a contract is present there, you can say that it is an existing contract. That means while making the contract, the particular good which is existed there, which is present there, in that situation you can say that it is an existing goods. The goods that are present or in existence at the time of contract. See, which is discussed under section 6. The existing goods are those goods which are in the legal possession or are owned by the seller at the time of formulation of a contract of sale. So if it is to become an existing goods, so firstly either it can be in the hands of or within the legal possession of that particular person who is about to sell. That means in case of a seller, or it should be owned by the seller at the time of making this contract. Okay. So the simple thing which you need to identify from this particular term is that existing goods means those goods which are present at the time of making contract. Okay, now moving to the first category, specific goods. So specific good is defined under section 2 subsection 14 of Sale of Goods Act, and as per specific goods it is specified that identified and agreed upon when the contract of sale is formed. That means if a particular goods is considered to be specific, it should be able to, you should be able to identify those products from a number of products. I will just give you an example to make a clarification regards to specific goods. See, here you want to sell your mobile phone online. You put an advertisement with its picture and information. A buyer agrees to sale and a contract is formed. The mobile in this case is specific goods. So here the goods is specific. Okay, so I'm just giving you I'm just seeing an advertisement in a newspaper or somewhere, and in which specified that this particular phone is on a sale, and the name of the phone or the other features, color or something which is related to phone, all is specified there. So you know that you are going to buy this particular good. Okay, so the good is very specified there, or you can see that okay, this is the thing that I am going to buy. So the item is specified directly there. Okay, there is no need for any doubt which is related to that good. So the good is really specified. You can see that, or you can identify the features of it also. Okay, so that particular good which is existing there, or that particular good while making that contract or while giving such a notice which is already in the custody of that particular seller, or you can see that you are able to identify the features, or you know that which is in the custody of that particular person. Okay, so that's it. And now when you are studying about the other categories, you will be able to make a differentiation between these three kinds of goods. The second one is ascertained goods. Specific goods which have been selected from a large set of goods. So if you are making a selection from a large set of items, then you can call it as a ascertained goods. Okay, again I will give you an example to make it clarification. You have 500 apples. Out of these 500 apples, you decide to sell 200 apples. To sell this 200 apple, you will need to separate it from 500 large set. So here, this particular person holding 500 apples, okay, and he just want to make, or he just want to make a sale for 200 apple. Now he is making a separation between this 200 and 300, and he just kept aside that 200 apple which he needs to sell. Okay, so that 200 apple is certain, which is ascertained there. Okay, that means this much apple I want to sell and this much apple I am going to store. So here that particular seller is making an assertion, or this particular person is ascertaining that particular goods which he needs to sell. Okay, so which is classified, that particular thing which he needs to sell is classified from the whole load. So if such a classification is made, and if he is going to sell from that group, then you can call it as a specified, which is a category of specified goods, or you can also call them specified good. But when you are coming exactly to that term, you can call them as ascertained goods. So that's to you specify 200 from a large set of unspecified apples. So these 200 apples. So the 200 apples which we needs to sell, or which I just make a division from the whole lot, is considered as ascertained apple. Okay, and you can actually call the remaining things as ascertained apples. Okay, so you are ascertaining, okay, I am just going to sell these, or these first 200 apples that I am going to sell. So you just make a division. In that situation, you can call them as ascertained goods. So what do you mean by unascertained good? Say, these goods are that have not been specifically identified, but have rather been left to the selected from a larger group. So let's see, again I will give you an example. For example, from your 500 apple, you decide to sell 200 apples. So the same scenario. But here is a difference. What is that? You don't specify which one you want to sell. So in our earlier example, we know that there also he wants to sell 200 apples from that 500 apple. But what he does, he just make a division, and he just group the 200 apples separately, and he wants to sell from that 200 apples only. But in this case, such a separation is not made. So from that 500 apple, it can be any 200 apple that he is going to sell, which is not specified there. Okay, but you don't specify which ones you want to sell. A seller will have the liberty to choose any 200 apple, any from the lot. These are thus the unascertained goods. So here you can see that you didn't make you just didn't ascertain any goods. Okay, you are taking from that whole lot and you will just take 200 from that 500, which is not specified. Okay, but in your previous example, you can see that you just made a division, and from that from the first group you are just taking your apple that you just want to make a sell. Okay, so that's the situation, or that's the difference between ascertained and unascertained good. Okay, in case of specific good, everything is specified clearly. Okay. Now, the second category of goods. So, as you can see that the first category is existing goods. So, existing goods means that particular goods is present at the time of making contract. If the particular item is not present while making a contract, so in that situation you can call them as future goods. So, which is specified under section 2 subsection 6, future goods have been defined as the goods that will either be manufactured or produced or acquired by the seller at the time of contract or sale is made. So, that particular item is not present while you are making that contract, but that will be manufactured later. Okay. So, the contract for the sale of future goods will never have the actual sale in it. It will always be an agreement to sell. Why? Because it is always happening in some future date. That's why you can call them as future goods. Okay. Here also I will give you an example. You have an apple orchard with apples in it. You agree to sell 1000 apples to a buyer after apples ripe. This is a sale that has to occur in future, but the goods have been identified already and the agreement is made. So, here you can see that that particular apple is now ripened there. Okay. So, you just make a contract when, or you just made a contract already, but you know that you are not going to get today or tomorrow. That will be for after a certain month you are going to get that apple. That means when it got ripened, you will get it from the seller. Okay. So, the time when you are making that contract, this apple is not present. That will you will get it ripened after a certain period. Okay. Like a way that you just, if you are just giving an order to a particular baker, okay, home baker or whatever, some baker, you can see that but after giving an order, they are going to prepare that particular cake or whatever thing, okay, or cookies or whatever. You just give them an order, and based on that they are going to make the preparation. So here also you can see that that particular good is a future good because that is going to prepare in some future date. Okay, at the time of making contract, that particular goods is not present. So if the goods is present at the time of making contract, it is a type of existing good, and if the goods is not present at the time of making contract, it is considered as a future good. So it is going to manufacture on some future date. Okay, so that's about future goods. So this is about the second classification, and finally it is about contingent goods. So what do you mean by contingent goods? See, we know that contingency is a situation which we are not able to make an accurate prediction. It can or it may or may not possible, right? So acquisition of goods by the seller depends upon uncertain or contingent event. So here, in case of that contract between these two parties, it is based on some uncertain event. Okay, like if I am saying that if it rains or not rains, so we are not able to make a surety regarding whether rain is going to come or not. Okay, so there is an uncertainty or there is a probability there. So in that situation or based on such you are making a contract, it is considered as a contingent goods. Okay, in case of contingent goods. Okay, in this example, X has agreed to sell 100 mangoes from his farm to Y at a future date. But this sale depends on the fact whether the trees in X farm give a yield of 100 mangoes by the date of contract. So here you can see that this particular example is actually something which is similar to the previous example which we discussed in case of future good. But here it is specified that it is not certain or there is an uncertainty regarding the situation whether the seller is able to make 100 mangoes from his farm. That is not sure. There is an uncertainty regards to that. In such a situation, this particular person or the contract between these two people is actually a contingent contract because which is based on a contingent event which we are not able to make or which we are not able to give a surety regards to that. So such a situation is specified here that the sale depends on the fact whether the trees in X farm will give yield of 100 mangoes. So between them they also already got agreed that if I am able to make this much mangoes from my farm, I will give you 100 mangoes. That's the situation. So here the sale is actually based on an event. Okay, that is a contingent event. That means it may or may not. Okay, that can be or may not be happen. In that situation, if it is based on some uncertain event or if it is based on some contingent event, such type of goods is actually classified as contingent goods. So it is based on some contingency or it is based on some uncertain event. So these are the three types of goods: future goods, existing goods, future goods and contingent good. Existing goods are those goods which are present at the time of making contract. Future goods are the goods which is not actually present during the time of making the contract between the parties, but it will be manufactured or it will be provided on or provided later on some future date. And coming to contingent goods are those goods which is actually based on the contract is actually based on some uncertain event. Okay, that's a situation, and we know that in case of existing good there are three classification also. Okay, that is specific, certain, ascertain, unascertain. Specific, ascertain, unascertain. Okay. Now coming to the question which got asked in December 2019, which of the following is odd one out? So direct and simple question. So you need to identify the odd one. Specific goods, unascertain goods, future goods, ascertain goods. So you can see that specific, unascertain, ascertain, all these are types of existing goods. And C is future goods. So you can see A, B, D. All these are existing goods. So the odd one is C, that is future goods. So the correct answer for this question is option C. So in this video, we discussed about the classification of goods. So, coming to the area, that is Sale of Goods Act, the classification of goods is very, very important. And the questions are asking from the classification which is related to the types of goods. So I hope this video will help you for your preparation. Thank you and happy learning.